Okay, before we get into the interview slash long ass podcast that I did with this random guitar player in the middle of the streets of Yale University, let me put this into context. That day that I interviewed this guy, I was roaming around the streets around Yale University trying to interview as many Yale University students as possible in order to get some questions answered. But unfortunately, as I was roaming around the streets around Yale University, I was being rejected so many times throughout that whole entire day by Yale University students just to ask them like one or two questions. At one point, I just started going around asking random people on the street some of the questions I had for these Yale University students. And come to find out, this guy was going to be the first guy that I would encounter after making that revelation. And this guy was the first guy that I actually went up to. And we had a nice, long, full-blown conversation about not only the questions that I had on hand. This man, mind you, I was talking with this guy for such a long fucking time that by the time we were done with the conversation, I didn't even realize we'd blown through so much time, like over an hour and 40 plus minutes of a conversation on just about pretty much everything under the sun. I'm sorry this is gonna be long as fuck, but I'm telling you, I was blown away by some of the things that he was saying in this fucking conversation I had with him. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So what's your background anyways?
So my background, I'm from Norwalk originally. I moved out here with my buddy while he was already living out here. And
as a Yale University student?
No. So I'm 33, so I'm past college years. Well, I could, you know.
You can go anytime you want.
Anytime you want, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This place, though, it seems very snobbish around here.
Yeah, it's interesting because you see like one end of high society like here, and then you see the end of like people getting high society on the green. Yeah. And when I was like growing up, like the first concert I ever saw was Blues Traveler, and it was a free show on the green that they do at the summer. And now because when I first came out here, I was like, I'll go play on the green, like, you know, make some money playing. Right. And it was like somebody like right at the table shooting up heroin. I was like, what the fuck? And there's kids walking by, and you're like, oh my God. And so, you know, that's something that's definitely been really noticeable around in like the Yale parts, because this is like the part I really knew growing up.
You mean like drugs or whatever?
Yeah, drugs, and there's people smoking crack out there all the time.
Around here of all places?
Yeah, on the green. You go to the green, you see it all the time. A lot of the homeless, I mean, not all of them are homeless. You also see the like big homeless issue that's going on around here. And I know like when I'm playing, most people probably assume I'm homeless, but like it's like really like seeing it and dealing with some of the people, because sometimes I'll give out like some money to them, you know, because I'll see a lot of people who won't. And like, I know not all of them, because some of them aren't actually spending it on drugs. Not every homeless person is spending money on drugs. But I don't think so.
Let's not piss off the homeless people around here, please.
Right, for real. Yeah, don't piss them off, especially if they're drinkers. But
they're drinkers, man. They go McSwinging on you, man.
Yeah.
Like the Will Smith.
Yeah. But, you know, there's some, like, older people that, like, you know, it's just, like, they can't really get jobs anymore, you know what I mean? And the system's kind of overloaded right now, where they can't get housing or state assistance yet, and they're on a waiting list, and they're just out here trying to get money to eat, you know?
Exactly. I mean, if you look at it this way, so recently with the immigration crisis going down the Texas border, and how all these immigrants, I mean, listen, my mother is an immigrant, don't get me wrong, from Portugal. Oh, but okay. One thing I can say that she did right, as much of a bitch she was.
I get that.
She did everything in the legal channels, going from visa to green card, and then years down the line becoming an American citizen.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you should do. I mean, you know, with any country you go into, there's a process in following that, so I can get that.
What's going on with this? I check something quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
One eternity later.
There you go. All right. Because this thing sometimes gets a little McFucky or whatever. Yeah, especially when you do certain gestures or whatever, because it's an AI tracker, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what's an AI tracker?
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know what artificial, the thing that's going to eventually take us out.
Yeah.
Real, if there's anything I believe in, there's that AI will eventually overtake.
Especially when we have like Arnold Schwarzenegger looking robots coming around.
Right? They're coming out. Japan's like, yeah, we're making sexual robots. Like, this is only going to get worse.
Wait a minute, Japan's making what now?
Sexual sex robots, aren't they? I saw something on like Vice or some kind of YouTube video because I don't watch TV, but I watch YouTube.
Yeah, fuck TV. Too much bullshit on
How am I
TV.
gonna pay all that money? It's just gonna be on YouTube anyway, like 2 days later or a couple hours later.
Yeah. And once Fox News became woke,
Yeah.
I just said, fuck cable. I'm done with cable. It's over. My Vizio TV gives me free TV. I'm not paying for no Spectrum cable anymore. It's over.
Yeah. Well, even the news channels, they're all just going on to YouTube anyway. Yeah, charging people if they want to get like the exclusive or live stream shit. But they live stream, I think, most news outlets all day.
And they should. They should adapt and evolve, and cable should die.
Yeah. It should also be regulated and like monitored, but you know. So are you a Yale student or?
No, I'm not a Yale University student. To me, I'm just an outsider that's like bothering people, man, like interviewing people. Because I mean, I think one thing I could say though, I think you can agree with me on this, is the fact that Yale University students really are kind of like controlled by the university to say certain things. They're not allowed to really expand.
An extension of China University right now.
I agree with that 100%.
You wonder about that because, like, okay, so I watch a lot of, like, Rogan. This isn't to blame Joe Rogan for any of my opinions, but he has Mike Baker on. He used to be a CIA agent. He's always worried about China and how they'll pay for someone to go to college, hope that they get a really good job, and then get into the system so they can unlock them later and be like, hey, we need a favor, you know, like this, that. They're like the masters of the spy game right now. They hack us more than any other country, like, you know, more than Russia. Every day, I think they have like over like 2,000 hacks a day or something. You don't quote me, you'd have to like look online and like check that. But
North
like,
Korea, they do a lot of that too. I mean, it's insane.
North Korea, that's like such a sad like state right now. You gotta think about it, like a whole mass of people are like trapped inside a society of a kid getting to play God in like an impoverished place. Like none of them have a
very impoverished, you know, but that's communism. And
did you see all those communism posters around here?
I could smell the air of communism just going around here. I mean, especially with some of the people around here, you know, you've gone to certain restaurants or whatever it may be. I mean, hey, shit, before I started doing all this, restrooms, they have gender all bathrooms or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Here they have locks on them because of the drug addicts using them.
Shut up.
I swear to God, yeah. So you have to put a code into that Starbucks bathroom. I live off of Whaley Avenue, which is like considered one of the worst streets of the area. And like all the bathrooms, you have to get a key or someone has to unlock it. The KFC, like near where I live, they have to press a button to buzz you into the bathroom.
And this is not the ghetto. This is Yale University.
Yeah, this is Yale University area. This is New Haven, unfortunately, is the reality. I mean, some areas is still nice. Wooster Square is kind of maintained like a nice little area, but like, yeah, a lot of like the homeless problem, because you see it in like LA and like different areas, San Francisco, it's starting to be bad. Like, you know, when the homeless start to overtake, and I don't know why they would try to center them all into like the green area where all these Yale University students are.
It doesn't make any sense. It just makes them look bad. I'm not saying that these people are animals. They should be kept in cages and stuff like that. They shouldn't be. They're people. They're actual people. But when you're starting to get to the point where you're having like a class system or whatever, and I think it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, class warfare, and it's like, you know, how are these people going to rise up when you make them dependent on the state? You should be giving people jobs, and like, you know, not to get into the immigration thing, but like, you know, people are legal citizens, and if you're gonna hire an illegal immigrant, at least like try to help them put through the process of becoming a citizen or getting a work visa. Right. Because like you can come over here on a work visa. The only reason you get denied is because of a criminal record or something like that.
I'm not saying all of them, but like some of them like have those records or whatever, and they still break our laws anyways, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of instances where they don't get deported either. So like, it's like hard to see, you know, a lot of people view like the police has the biggest problem in America, but it's not the police, it's the court system. And like, you know, I've dealt with the court system a little bit myself when I was younger, and like just seeing like, it's basically they have a system where it's like, I'll give you this deal for this guy if you give me this guy, and if you have a paid lawyer, you're gonna get a better deal. Who knows if he's kicking money to the court or not. You know, like for traffic stuff, you got to pay money to the court, they'll let you go, you know. But if you got a public defender and the state's got to defend you, then you're fucked. And what's the point of even going to trial? If you go to trial and lose, it's going to be worse than if you took the deal that they just handed to you, said, you know, take this 2 years and we'll, you know, be good to you. And then you end up losing. It's like, now you got 10 years, you know?
When it comes to really important stuff, they just don't care anymore.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. They throw the book, and then, you know, there's a lot of profitability off prisoners. You know, so if you go to jail, you actually get charged daily for your stay. So it's like paying for a hotel room that you didn't ask for.
Really?
Yeah, so if you inherit money, or let's say you like won the lotto, right? You get out of jail, you win the lotto. Let's say you're in jail for like, you know, 10 days, right? And like they charge $100 a day per person, right? So I think it might be $200 in Connecticut right now. They raised it since I was there. I was 18, and that was like 15 years ago. So now you'd be paying, what, $2,000 for that 10-day stay, you know?
For a stay in a place where you didn't even want to be at.
Yeah, exactly.
You did a crime, but you don't want to be there. It should be at least, like, not even like 75% of that if they're going to do anything.
I know, at least
it's
cover
ridiculous.
Some of it, but at the thing is, you know, and my buddy was watching like different things on YouTube about like how prison conditions are in other places, and they got like PlayStation and shit like that, which is crazy to me. Because like in like Connecticut jail, Connecticut's one of the easier jails. I know, like in California, I've heard a lot of stories, a lot of gang activity and like, you know, that kind of stuff. Connecticut is just going to be people yelling at each other. They don't want to get put into sex, so they won't really fight each other.
They don't even want to arrest people in California. But they're like, for crimes or whatever.
Steal like, what, up to $1,000 and they can't arrest you, I think the law is right now.
Yeah, that's what I heard about that. If you, God forbid, you go into a store like a Macy's or whatever, you can have a field day stealing fucking women's bras. You can just go out there and steal everything, tablets, all that stuff, walk out the dang door. They can't stop you.
And it's like, what's the point of even opening a business, especially you're going to be mom and pop? I mean, like, yo, a lot of those like corporate places are insured or like have that big corporate heads. Like, it's not that big of a hit, but like, you know, you got a mom and pop shop that's like getting hit off on like their like monthly supply of like, you know, goods to sell. And everybody's just taking a certain amount because the cops are going to arrest them. They're just going to be forced to close, and they're just hardworking people trying to live the American dream, which is close to impossible now. But
it is impossible nowadays.
yeah, no, I mean, like, I was in the restaurant industry for years, and like, I'm trying to find like some part-time work on top of what musical stuff I do. But like, you know, if I didn't have a roommate, like, I'd be on the street. Like, I'd be on the street, and like this, like, it helps, like this helps me out, but I still need to get some kind of part-time work to really like be able to maintain like, you know, rent and stuff. And I'm not like spending on crack and heroin like these. I see some of these homeless people asking for money. People just hand them money. I'm like, you know, that's going straight to drugs. Like, you see them, you see their mental condition, but
they're poor people, you know, they're suffering in the streets. they don't know where to go. This is horrible. They don't know how to do anything. I'm like, they're capable enough to find a job. I mean, I'm not saying the jobs around here are the best. I mean, most jobs in Connecticut nowadays, they are just more like fast food or minimum wage kind of jobs or whatever.
The cost of living is just extremely high.
You hear the story about how the Connecticut increased the minimum wage up to like $15.69 an hour.
Yeah, they're supposed to eventually get it up to what, 18 or something for Dan Malloy's plan back when he was. But who knows what Ned Lamont's doing?
Ned Lamont, I actually did a video about him recently, and he.
Not like him.
I don't like him either. Basically, came down to the fact that he is the most corrupt politician in Connecticut, and nobody really talks about him. So I basically explained in that video about him and his dealings, especially with his wife and with his like real estate businesses and stuff like that, and
people
all the business.
Realize that he's a businessman. Like, he's not a politician.
Yeah, because he used to be like in the cable industry or whatever for a long time.
Cablevision is him, and I think at one point he like bankrupted some company to go like get the payout from that and build that company or something. I don't quote me.
And they voted for him still.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is also is like he wants to like really charge the people a lot more money to make up for the deficits that Dan Malloy created. And don't get me wrong, Dan Malloy did a lot as far as state benefits. Like, most of those state benefits that are keeping people off the street are now gone. Money needs to be invested in that stuff to like really, like, some of these people need mental health assistance. I mean, they, you know, have issues that really do make them a little bit incapable of being part of society. But if they're not breaking the law, we got to figure out how we're going to actually help these people and get them involved with the right people so they're doing the right thing by themselves.
It's all about allocating funds for other, you know, projects. Because, I mean, there's some things like he wanted to, for how many times Ned Lamont wanted to install like booths and tolls or whatever.
Tolls on the highway.
Tolls on the highways
I'm
and stuff
dude,
like.
just legalize pot, and he wouldn't do it. I'm like, look at all these other states that have legalized marijuana, which is shown to have medical benefits. It's not for everybody, but like it has medical benefits. It like doesn't cause anybody to go out and be like, yo, I'm gonna rob this place for some weed, or I'm gonna fucking kill this person because I'm high on weed. Nobody thinks those kind of things when they're smoking weed.
Can some weed be spiked though? So it's
We got
way
the
worse.
fentanyl crisis now, and that's like a part of the drug war. And we're buying fentanyl for these hospitals at Yale New Haven Hospital, one of the most popular hospitals in the country, and we're getting fentanyl from China. That's where it comes from. So
China.
I know China very well.
But China is getting a big financial step on us and a big intelligence step on us by stealing a lot of stuff with the hacks and getting people involved in the colleges over here. Not saying they don't have a right to go to school here. Of course they do, but you never know how the CCP acts. It takes control of every business. It's inside everybody's lives. Like they're way more repressed than we are. You know what I mean?
Right, they are.
Credit scores and all that shit. It's just
Let's look at it this way, right? So when you look at the past with Yale University, they were Puritans / Congregationalists / Christians that started this university.
all looks like churches, right?
Yeah, the old churches. Like if you look around Yale University, there are a bunch of churches.
Oh yeah, this
and
is a very church-heavy city, actually. I mean, also Michael McGivney was a priest here. He's like the guy who started the Knights Templar, or not Knights Templar, the Knights of Columbus. Sorry, which was like in the vein of Knights Templar kind of thing. But he started that to help like men who were hit by the depression and things like that. Not depression, but like the economy, and lost their jobs or needed jobs, were immigrants and needed food, and their families needed assistance. And I think that's why a lot of the churches around here are still do in his vein and do a lot to feed the homeless and try to help them out, shelter them. Most of the shelters are in churches, and it's funny to see because most people, you tell them you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, but you tell them you're a Christian, they look at you fucking sideways.
Exactly, bro.
What's wrong with you? But it's actually refreshing to see because there's been a lot of corruption, especially the Catholic Church, that whole thing, but a lot of other things with the Catholic Church and just throughout history. I mean, you have a lot of popes who used to be very, very corrupt, and the whole reason men can't get married in the Catholic Church, a lot of the priests were knocking up nuns and stuff like that. And yeah, so the Pope at the time just made a new law that but if you go to any Christian church, you can see that the priests and stuff get married and stuff.
Right now, everybody's looking at us like we're a diseased orangutans or something.
I'm just gonna pretend it's an interview because I'm a rock star. No. But yeah, I mainly came out here for the music. I mean, it used to be a music-heavy culture scene, and then a lot of the problems that have been going on with drugs and homelessness have kind of overtaken what used to be a kind of bustling art scene.
Was it also because of, I don't know, some songs or whatever, they're not really favoring other religions or something like that? Is that why they kind of stopped or whatever?
Favoring other religions stopped what?
Play music around Yale.
I don't think religion has anything to do with it because, Muslim cultures have their own music. Any country, depends on the country. Every country has their own culture. China obviously has their music. I'm not sure if we're allowed to listen to it, but no, I'm just kidding.
Because, if you look at it, it's Yale University is really trying to, I don't know, stop, anything that's going with their past, the Christian faith, in the beginning, that they're trying to slowly get rid of it out of society or whatever.
Well, I think there's extremists. So the extremism in Christianity nowadays isn't violent. It's just more, well, unless you go Westboro Baptist Church. I think America, and just to say off the rip, America's gotten pretty fucking soft. But we are a melting pot of a country. We're a country of immigrants, built on genocide. Right?
You're not supposed to say that, people!
You're not supposed to say that.
Okay.
We have our own past, and I think something we also want to kind of shun away from, which is a good thing in a sense, but you have to also learn from those things. But there's a level of acceptance, you're talking about with the gender stuff. Sexuality and sex is gender. Well, gender's not that complex of a subject.
It's biological sex.
There's
male and female.
And we don't have the science technology. If science had technology to perfectly transform a man into a woman through some kind of natural genetic genetic modification. Like if you believe in the Anunnaki here, we'll go a little weird off God, even weirder gods. The story and a lot of belief is that they're able to genetically modify the Homo erectus into what became the Homo sapien, and that they had science at that level and things like that. And I think that it is definitely possible at some point for science to develop that way, because humans want to make that kind of science. Just like with AI technology, especially going to build a robot. They're already building, militarizing robots and drones, you know, trying to build military soldiers. You got to think how dangerous that is. Somebody hacks that system, you're fucked. Unless you're on like a third world island. That's when the hunter-gatherers will survive. What made you come to New Haven?
Because I want to see people's reaction when it comes to, like, if people are willing to talk around here. Because, I mean, for stories I've heard online and just people I talk to as a whole on a daily basis, they think that all Yale University students are ready to fucking pounce on somebody that has a different opposing viewpoints.
It can seem that way. Like, see, so if I were to like say like people studying and just like interacting with people, I'll say like Yale students are kind of like very just in their own world a little bit. You definitely see a lot more like liberal archetypes of people walking around. Definitely can tell that it's more of a liberal university than it was like probably like 10, 20 years ago. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. Education system, I think, like with colleges in specific, you know, have each college and each teacher, professor has their own agenda of what they think, their worldview, you know.
I thought their job is supposed to teach university students the best knowledge as possible, so that when they try to get a job or whatever, they'd be able to succeed in that work environment, not trying to push agendas.
We as a society, education gets funded every year. Like, funding gets decreased every year. And so that's a big problem, because education really starts at the bottom. And my mom and my sister, both lifelong Bridgeport school system teachers, and mainly elementary, middle school. But these kids barely have the funding to like have proper books that are up to date. And then you got to question what's even in those books. How much of history are they leaving out? And, you know, you have a lot of extremist movements in education. What was it, that 1876 movement or whatever, where all white people are inherently racist?
All white people are horrible. They enslaved everybody.
Yeah.
They're horrible people. So if you see a white guy on the street just going around getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks, where you're supposed to shame him to death.
Even in those times, like during slavery, you know, the biggest like fighters for the abolition of slavery were white people who like wanted the, you know, the same with civil rights. You had white people who felt the same, still marching. So not every white person, you're gonna have racist white people, you're gonna have racist black people, you're gonna have racist Asians, you're gonna have racist Latinos. There are Latinos who are racist against other Latinos because they're a different country, you know what I mean? Just like when white people, it's like you make fun of a Polish guy that's technically racist because he's Polish, and you're making fun of him for
But it's comedy.
But it's funny, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the point about comedy is you're supposed to break boundaries when it comes to people's feelings and stuff. Some people are gonna get the joke and laugh at it. Some people are not gonna get the joke and try to shank you on the street any chance they can afterwards. But the point is comedy, you know? It's just like...
Be careful who you talk to, shit to here. People do have knives and guns around here. There are murders around here. It's and you know, the more I've lived in New Haven, the easier I can tell it's easy to get away with murder in comparison to a lot of other places. I had a friend who was murdered like on the front steps of his house. They had one of those shot spotter cameras right like literally in front of the house, and it apparently wasn't working. The police response time in New Haven is like an hour. Like,
What?
Yeah. I was at Burger King and after playing one night, and a guy had his car stolen. He's an Uber Eats driver, had his car stolen. They called the cops. Cops didn't show up for an hour and a half.
Are you serious? This is supposed to be the most prestigious part of the state, and they're doing this to people?
Well, I don't know how prestigious New Haven is because
I mean, you got Yale. I mean, Yale's...
Yale.
All the rich yuppies come to Yale, you know. So I mean, you think they have enough police or whatever to... Oh wait, they're trying to get rid of the police because they're police brutality.
Yeah, that too. Right now, they are desperately trying to get police in New Haven. They have signs all up that they're hiring for police. And so I go to the Edge in Hamden, and they came in one day with me and my buddy. Were sitting at the smoothie bar, not smoothie, protein shakes. And he had flyers at our gym for guys, and they like the guy gave it to us, and we both have felonies. They're like, I don't think they're taking us. They might be desperate enough.
Oh, fudgicles. Here's your ticket.
I used to be a Democrat, and I've now since gone towards the right. I wouldn't call myself a full-on Republican, but I never thought there would be a time where I'd watch Fox News and be like, well, this is the voice of reason.
Or you listen to Tucker Carlson and he's like,
Oh,
he's
I
the
just
word
watched
of
his
reason.
interview with Putin, and I was like, somebody has to do it.
Oh, he's a traitor to the United States because he talked to Putin for like a couple hours. He's such a traitor. We should sanction him off the country and stuff.
Well, and it's good on him to actually have a 2-hour conversation with the guy instead of just getting a 5-minute bit that you can edit and this, that, and the other, and just transfer on to push your agenda of who this person is. And I'm not saying whether Putin's a good guy or not.
I'm not saying he's a good guy either. I'm saying is that we need to find out the other perspectives from people from both ends of the buffet table to really get an understanding of what's really going on. And some of the things that Putin said kind of makes sense a little bit why he's doing certain things. Is this course of action of trying to get Ukraine really necessary the way he's doing it? No.
Necessary for us to push the issue too, because we were pushing his buttons about it too, and we were doing things to provoke it, like the NATO thing. Especially after the end of a war, which, you know, World War II, they did the NATO agreement and the line down the middle kind of thing. We've constantly broken that contract and taking countries into the NATO side of the agreement. We haven't allowed Russia to become part of NATO. I don't feel like we're ever really trying to find peace with Russia. It's just this dick measuring contest.
With Putin's interview, I think he tried to get in. I think Bill Clinton was trying to get him in, but because of his cronies or whatever, they're like, no, we can't allow you to come in.
Well,
sorry, buddy.
Countries involved too. There's other countries involved, and now we got, you know, Israel's the country we created after World War II with what the state is now. We've made it an extension of our military. I mean, they're one of the most powerful militaries in the world, one of the most powerful secret services in the Mossad, which purportedly Epstein was a part of, but that's, you know, another time. Now we got to where this guy's basically said he wants to wipe out Palestine, all the people. He's basically said like genocide without saying the word genocide, and we're just still supporting it. We're like, yeah, no, that's fine. Just, you know, we support Israel, and it's like we're not looking at the facts of the fact that like this back and forth, it's on both sides, but Israel has been able to dominate and take the land of the Palestinian people. I don't care about religion on this one, you know what I mean? They've been taking their land for a century almost, you know, since the agreement after World War II. And also how Pakistan became a country, that's the Muslim India. They gave that to them in the 50s, I want to say.
I think so.
Something
around
there.
the 50s.
Yeah. I found that out because the best bosses I've ever had were Muslim, and I get along with Muslims for the most part. Jews kind of keep to themselves. My best friend at one point was like, you know, there are Jews who practice Judaism like Christians practice Christianity, and then you got your serious, you know, wear the suits, which good on you, at least you're wearing a suit.
Right.
But like, you know, they really tend to keep to themselves, and it's kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like there's a sect like that, like in Christianity, Jehovah's Witnesses, like you don't talk to non-Jehovah's Witnesses, you only associate with your people.
But they're still trying to demonize them as bad people still. There's,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, oh, they're horrible people, even though they're doing all these great things for the homeless community. Like the Christians are doing everything for the homeless community.
Christianity, I think we've become a little bit godless. I think it's easier for people to laugh off the concept of God existing and God being able to watch over you and guide you. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be Jesus.
It's like a path that people can take in order to become a good person. That's what all religions are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's about being a good person to the next person.
It might be in a different way though, but I mean, it's still a path of helping somebody. It doesn't matter if it's like Christianity, Roman Catholicism, Judaism, whatever. If you read their Bibles or you read their texts about their religion, you study those, they all try to say, be a good person to society. Do not do stupid shit that will embarrass not only yourself, but also society as a whole and make it even worse for other people.
Oh yeah. Media culture and the government, we've become kind of this woke culture where it's like you could be 72 different genders or identify as a fucking alien, be offended by everything, and then that person's the villain. Christianity, it's, I think, more because of like the hardcore Christians who are like, you know, homophobic and like, you know, anti, you know, certain things, which are, you know, true Christians at the end of the day. True Christians love whoever. I think we've kind of become like, because of that, like in how like media's kind of portrayed Christianity as like taking away freedom.
Even though it's supposed to bring freedom to the people, they're trying to push like transism and being bi and all these crazy, you know, sexualities and stuff, trying to make everything confusing for our society. They're trying to portray it as being free and freedom, even though it's more repressive and basically trying to bring people down. So let's say
transgenderism, it's kind of been dying a little bit. It comes down to a mental illness. It's body dysmorphia. It's a form of body dysmorphia. It's gender dysmorphia. Instead of actually trying to help these people find love and acceptance for themselves, not everybody gets the best hand of cards. You know,
of course
not. Hey, I'm bald, so I've been bald since 19. Fuck, what am I gonna do? We're literally using science to genetically modify people's bodies in a way that like gravely affects their health and mental health, because is it ever enough? You see people get addicted to plastic surgery just in the face, whether it be
like Michael Jackson did.
I was gonna say of the nose, and like the prime example. In my opinion, that's just gonna exacerbate the mental illness. But a lot of people who go through gender transition end up suicidal or killing themselves and going through with it, and depression gets worse. I think the mental health industry right now, because it's really an industry, it's not a field of like practice, it's really become like monetized, and that's part of it, because you got psychologists. Part of the process you're supposed to go through is to meet with a psychologist, says, okay, this person wants to go through transition, should be getting these medications or whatever, like okays it, and like if you're really a man of like science and psychology and really trying to help people, you're trying to help them heal their mind and the mental illness that they're suffering from. You shouldn't be okaying them to be sick.
Yeah, you're perpetuating them to be even more sick and putting them in even worse positions than they originally first started to begin with.
And it's not to say like if I won't be friends with a transgender. I've been friends with a transgender. One of my best friends actually at one point ended up transitioning. We're still friends after.
Right.
But like, when I was in jail, so this is kind of a fucked up thing, just how the system works. So before, because they're making a lot of money off of the pills and medication things now, because the state will cover it, and then the insurance will cover it, and then like all the doctors profit because they're expensive. So when I was in jail, there were trans women who would come into jail. They'd be put in the male population because they're men, and they were going into jail specifically because they could get the medication while in prison, but they couldn't get it on the street yet.
So the jail system is trying to make people trans.
Yeah, you could almost view it that way. Like it's almost like feminizing the prisoners. Almost like back in the day, they used to like make eunuchs out of prisoners, like either in Roman times or like with like rapists, they'd have that with a saltpeter or whatever it was.
So technically, what you just said, Connecticut as a whole is funding the initiative to make everybody trans.
At least the prison system, it's but yeah, no, I mean Connecticut state insurance covers it because my friend had state insurance when they went through theirs, and they cover it. Apparently Starbucks, because there was a friend she had. See, and I'm still woke enough to respect the pronouns. But there's a friend that she had who was also transitioning, got a job at Starbucks because they also will help pay for gender transition and the different cosmetic stuff that insurance doesn't. Starbucks is one of the best companies to work for, though, if you want different, like going to college and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, they also fund that stuff now. I mean, Starbucks is that kind of place, so it's just sad. I think it doesn't even come down to religion. It comes down to human moral values. And, I don't think we really care about each other as society. You look at Black Lives Matter,
Right. They try to divide and hurt people and destroy people for different viewpoints. Anytime you have a different viewpoint, they try to destroy you.
It's certain groups. I think with Black Lives Matter, it was more just, they were stealing from the people who were donating. You saw that it got exposed. And, a lot of black people don't trust Black Lives Matter because they don't feel like they're really for black people. They're just for the media.
For profiting themselves.
Yeah, the media, attention of like doing something good, but what they do, they got a bunch of white people to get violent, which I get's pretty easy. That's the interesting part. It's like the meek help the meek. I mean, the people I'll say in Yale Society, I get more donations from like people who've gone through some kind of struggle or in like, have seen it or known somebody who's like struggled or can understand like when they look at me, like I need some kind of like, this is what I'm doing for money to like live. I'm not like everybody else. Like I'm luckily by the grace of God, not on the streets. But, a lot of people on the streets help the people on the streets because no one else, like, a lot of people are just going to walk by and they'll just, like, look, and it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they live in a world where they got everything that they wanted. They always had a nice big home to live in. You know, they always had, you know, running water, electricity all the time. The basic necessities that a lot of people take as just like it's nothing, but to us it's something like a big deal.
Yeah, no, you're right. And
they take it for granted, basically.
They take it for granted, you know. It's a lot easier in life. And don't get me wrong, you know, if I have kids, I'm gonna want them to have, but I'm gonna want them to learn and interact and, like, you know, help, you know, society, and learn that there's a fraction of society it's not so pretty, you know.
Yeah, they understand the community that they're living in.
Yeah, exactly. Or communities around them, you know. If I somehow become richer, if I get famous, guys, I'm going back to New Canaan as a rich man. But
I think you will.
Yeah, I hope so.
You gotta keep trying. You gotta keep pursuing your dream, and that's all you gotta do.
If
it doesn't work, keep trying again and try to find something that works and go from there.
It's brought me a lot more. Same to you, man, because this has brought me a lot more happiness than what the hell I was doing, dude.
All right. I want to leave you alone.
Yeah,
I appreciate the conversation, dude.
Definitely,
thank you so much
man.
for talking to me.
Exchange YouTube. I got a YouTube as well. Do you have your Instagram or no?
Let's see. I got fucking
Do both.